All right, guys, this is it. They've arrived. What I hold in my hand is the brand new paint sets from Monument Hobbies Pro Acryl. These are made in conjunction with Atomic Mass Games, and they are pretty good. Now, I don't think they're for everyone, and we'll get into it in the video a little bit, but what I have here is set number 1 and set number 2. I'll put them up here so you can get a better look at them. So paint set number 1 and paint set number 2 there. They just arrived. I unboxed them just a few days ago, maybe about 2 days ago, I want to say. And I've been painting a little bit with them, and honestly, I really like what I see so far. But I do have a favorite. So we're gonna get into a little bit. I think if you are a brand new painter with an interest in picking up the Pro Acryl paint line, which I think is great. I always recommend them. They're fantastic paints. Then these two paint lines will probably be great pickups. That said, if you are a veteran painter with the Pro Acryl line already on your wall and a lot of their sets already purchased, I do have some caveats with some of these paints, and we're gonna kind of get into it. But on the screen, we're gonna go over some of the painting of them. We're gonna paint them onto these little 3D printed filament pads that I created or found online, I think actually. And it's just here to give you something to have the paints applied to so you can see them and visualize them. I'm going to color correct the images to allow them to be the correct tone and color of the paint compared to the white section on the pad. So it should be very much a color accurate rendition of that paint on the swatch in the image. And I want to discuss both paint lines. One of these paint lines I prefer much more than the other, and I think if you only are picking up one, there's one I would recommend highly over the other paint line. That said, we're going to look at every paint. We're going to look at all the colorations on the filament pads so you can compare them and see if there's a preference one way or the other for you and what you're missing. And with that said, let's go ahead and jump right into it. As you can see here, the peach flesh that we're painting on now is a really nice skin tone. Pro Acryl already has the flesh, olive flesh. They have the shadow flesh and a few others. And peach flesh really fills in a niche for that pinkish hue of skin that we really didn't have anything that fit previously. So I think this is actually a really good addition to the Pro Acryl line in general. The advanced skin, which is one of the other paints they have, it's darker than I would prefer for some models. So this peach flesh is actually a really nice base, I want to say, to then put in with shadows in the shadow areas, and then maybe with a little bit of olive flesh to do your highlight. And the rest of the colors in the paint set number 1 are really nice. So your bright green blue is nice. The yellow orange or orange yellow is nice. It's a really nice color for Wolverine. So I painted a Wolverine maybe about a month ago. And I really wish I had this orange yellow at the time. I had to mix my own, using orange and yellow. And it came out okay, but it'd be nice to just have one ready to go. That's really like the perfect Wolverine color, right? So something to keep in mind there. It's nice. I have a cool gray, which complements really well with the slate gray from set number 2. It's like a lighter version of that gray. I think it's great for like sci-fi dioramas and sci-fi locations. It got that unapologetically cold metal feel to it that reminds me a lot of like what you'd expect to see like on a spaceship or similar. Makes me feel like Star Wars, I guess. Other colors are great, beige gray, gray green, sure, both of them are fine. The only color in this set that I'm really not a fan of is black red. So black red is very, very similar to the dark crimson that Pro Acryl already put out previously in the signature series with matte. And the only real difference that I've noticed, aside from a slight color variation, is that the old dark crimson is glossy. It's got a glossy finish to it, and this black red is a matte finish. So that is of importance. I mean, you may want to get this new one because of that differentiation, matte versus gloss, but I personally always seal all my parts and completed models with a matte sealant afterwards. So the fact that it's glossy, for the most part, I'm probably not going to notice or care because I'm going to seal it in matte regardless. The only exception to that is if I need blood on the model, for example, on a sword or on a body part, and I need to make sure the blood stays glossy, then that'll be the one situation where I may need to be more cautious with the sealing and the matte sealant used afterwards to ensure that that blood stays like a glossy texture. But aside from that, the color is very similar. So if you already have dark crimson at home, I'm not sure if black red is really filling in any special spots in your paint collection. That said, the rest of the colors, like I said, are fine. Now I want to talk about the washes because the washes are actually really nice. So magenta wash and Payne's gray wash. Both of these are really nice. Yes, you know, contrast paints exist and speed paints exist and all that, but the washes are a little bit different. They're a little bit more pigmented in comparison, slightly higher. So I feel like they color better, they tint better than the contrast paint and the express paint and the speed paint and all that, in my opinion. And the magenta actually is actually really, really nice to just add like a pink hue to certain areas in the model. For example, some of the shadows, or maybe if you did a skin tone and you feel like it needs just a slight amount of redness, magenta wash, airbrushed on very lightly with a mix of water, maybe 50-50, which is what I usually mix the washes with, would probably be perfect for that. And Payne's gray wash is a really interesting shadow. So I never want to use a black wash in the shadows. I feel like that desaturates significantly. So I always want to use a shadow that has a little bit of color, either a purple or a blue. It makes it more interesting. It gives your viewer something to focus on, I guess, in reality. So Payne's gray wash is really nice. It's got like a blue gray tone to it that's real noticeable. You mix it in a 50-50 distilled water to the wash, and it's perfect for just giving a slight amount of shadow to areas where you don't want it to desaturate. You still want it to have a colorful tone. Really, really nice for that. So in that regard, I think both the washes in set 1 are fantastic, really good additions. Set 2 is where I have most of my concerns. So like I said before at the beginning of the video, if you are a veteran painter with a large paint collection of Pro Acryl paints, you may find that some of these are very similar to paints you already have and may not really be worth a pickup. So in my opinion, the red orange from the AMP line is extremely similar to the standard orange. Are they slightly different? Yes. Is it different enough for me to want to pick this up if I already have orange? In my opinion, no. I don't see a large difference between them. Now again, I'm not saying my eyes are the best. I could be slightly colorblind, who knows? But for me, I don't see the difference. They look almost the same. So I would maybe not recommend, if you have this orange at home, picking up the red orange. I don't feel like it's different enough. Same thing applies with the dark navy blue. So dark navy blue is very similar to the dark blue that already exists in the Pro Acryl line. So if you have dark blue, I don't know if this one really is bringing a lot to the table. Is it slightly different? Yes. Is it different enough that I would say it's worth having in the collection if you already have dark blue? Absolutely not. Again, just my opinion. You may differ, but I would not recommend picking it up if you have dark blue already. Steel metallic. I was really excited about this because the metallic paints from Pro Acryl are good. They're not the best. Vallejo metal color really has taken that victory crown in my opinion, but they're not bad. They're not bad. They're good acrylic metallics, and I was really thinking this was going to be a darker silver, like a more maybe the base to that silver, and then using the silver that already exists in the Pro Acryl line as the highlights for that darker silver tone. But I don't see it. It's very similar. When I take silver and put it side by side with this one, the steel metallic, it's almost the same. I mean, slightly different, but again, if you have silver at home, I probably would not recommend you pick up steel metallic because the difference is very minor. And then we have brown gray wash. I really like washes. I feel like they fill in a interesting role for painters when you want to add just a hint of color in certain areas without getting too much color in there, or for minis as kind of like a contrast paint, you know, filling in all those dark recessed areas. This one though, when I painted it on the card, like a black wash almost, it's got a slight, very slight brownish tint to it, but it's almost like a black wash. If you have the black wash, this one's very similar. You're not going to notice much differentiation there. The one that's unique though is the petroleum brown wash. That one is actually really unique. I like it much better than the brown gray wash. I feel like it has much more interest. It is a glossy finish, so something to keep in mind, but it really looks like that industrial grime you would expect to find in, like, let's say a sci-fi punk, cyberpunk type situation. Very nice texture to it, very nice in the recesses. It fills in really nicely. So for a grime or you know, just general oiliness, that environment, this is actually really nice as a wash. So I really enjoy that one. Like I said, the brown gray wash doesn't really impress me that much. It's okay, but those are the ones that I'm least in love with. Everything else I really like. The burnt umber is good. It's a nice dark umber tone that has a reddish tint to it, so it's similar to the dark umber in tone, but the fact that it's burnt has a slight reddishness to it. That's kind of nice, so I do like that one. I think it'll be great for like leather boots perhaps. And the green brown is really good. You have the bright brown gray as well, which I really thought was nice. So there's a lot of colors here that I do like, but set 2 definitely has at least 3 performers that I do not like. I do not think are significant pickups compared to what is already available in the line. And really, they have a wash that I'm not a fan of. Now, so with that said, are these paints good? Yes. Are these paints ones I would recommend? Yes. Are these paints ones that you absolutely need in your paint line? It'll depend. If you already have a significant amount of Pro Acryl paints, I would recommend looking at what you have available and deciding if these are really parts or pieces that are missing from your current lineup. I feel that I, just like many of you, get into the bad habit, or maybe good habit, depending on how you ask, right? Of purchasing paints because we see them and they look great and sure, why not, without maybe referencing the paints we already have. And we'll find a lot of times that we already have that paint. We have the paint that we're picking up. We have that paint in a different manufacturer, a different company, maybe gloss versus matte, but we have the same color, or a so similar color that you would not be able to distinguish them if painted side by side. So with that said, I think the paints are good in the sense that, again, Pro Acryl makes good paints. They have good coverage, they have good opacity, they go on smooth, they don't require mixing, they go straight into an airbrush and work in most cases. I always thin them down a little bit myself, but it wouldn't even be required. In most cases, you could put them through an airbrush as is from the bottle. So I think they're a good line. I think the paints are good. But again, you may want to reference what you have on your shelf and maybe not pick up some of them. I would not recommend the steel metallic if you already have the silver metallic from Pro Acryl. I would not recommend the red orange if you already have the standard orange from Pro Acryl, because they are very similar. I would not recommend the dark navy blue if you already have the dark blue. They are, again, very similar. And the brown gray wash, you have the brown wash already, or you already have the black wash, this is close enough. You're not going to probably see much difference to it. If you are able to just buy the individual colors, I'd probably skip out on these 4 in the front, because again, I don't feel that they're a significant variation from what's already available in the line. That said though, I really like Pro Acryl paints. I've always found them to be great consistency and coverage. So I don't think you can go wrong with the set, to be honest, either set. Just try to avoid picking up paints that you already have. The paints themselves, solid, very good paints. Again, I bought these with my own money. This is not a sponsored video, so none of these opinions are anything but my own. and they're just here to help you make an informed decision. I'm hoping that this is beneficial to you, to see the paint lines used, to see the paint formations put together so you can see them on these little filament pads, and help you make a determination whether these are a good fit for you or not. That said, drop a subscribe on the channel. If you feel that these are not the colors you hoped for or not a good fit for your paints, put them down in the comments below. If on the contrary, you feel that these paints are amazing, or you feel that I may be colorblind for not realizing that red, orange, and orange are different enough to warrant both in my collection, that's okay too. You can put that in the comments as well. I'd be interested to hear it, because you may be right. I may be colorblind. Those are good questions that I've never been tested for. Thank you so much for checking out the channel. Thank you for checking out the content. I hope it's useful to you. Please drop a like, drop a subscribe. It really helps the channel grow and appeases the algorithm gods. And I'm hoping to put these paints to more use in the next few days, and hopefully start painting with them in a project that I'm going to film and put up on the channel so you can see some of the painting into some of the models here. But thank you so much for checking out the channel. I appreciate you spending the time here, and in the meantime, keep on painting.